I was in the process of making feminist junk journals, and I found this at the thrift store, and I was like, "Ooh, cool!" Did not realize that it gives a story of how the Roman Empire turned everybody into slaves, even the men. The letter of the law and reality. Looking beyond the picture of Cornelia, independent, cultured, self-assured, even in her widowhood, we find a long history of Roman legislation affecting women, especially in the areas of guardianship, marriage, and inheritance. The weakness and light-mindedness of the female sex were the underlying principles of the Roman legal theory that mandated all women to be under the custody of males. In childhood, a daughter fell under the sway of the eldest male ascendant in her family, the paterfamilias. The power of the paterfamilias was without parallel in Greek law. It extended to the determination of life or death for all members of the household. Male offspring of any age were also subject to the authority of the paterfamilias, but as adults they were automatically emancipated upon his death, and the earliest Roman law code, the 11 Tables, traditionally 451 to 450 BC, stated that a son who had been sold into slavery 3 times by his father thereby gained his freedom. Among females, however, the only automatic legal exemption from the power of the paterfamilias was accorded to those who became Vestal virgins, a cultural role reserved for very few. Upon the death of the paterfamilias, the custody over daughters and prepubertal sons passed to the nearest male relative, unless the father had designated another guardian in his will. Guardianship over females was theoretically in force until the time of the Diocletian reigned AD 285 to 305, but this power was gradually diminished by legal devices and ruses by the assertiveness of some women interested in managing their own concerns. A guardian was required when a woman performed important transactions, such as accepting an inheritance, making a testament, or assuming a contractual obligation. In all transactions requiring manicipio, a ritual form of a sale, included selling land and manipulating a slave. But if the guardian withheld approval, a woman could apply to the magistrate to have his assent forced, or to have a different guardian appointed. I don't see much that has changed. Women couldn't even get their own bank accounts until like 1960s, 1970s era, and even now, like I can't even go to the endocrinologist without because they don't take me seriously. I'm 34 and a half years old. They look at me like I'm a 12-year-old child just because of my meat suit and think that I don't have intelligence in my brain, but I know more about the thyroid than they do. So, anyway, I gotta go wet my plants. Hopefully, y'all can look into this book and because this shit's still happening today, and I'm living proof of it. He seems to me just like the gods, that man who sits opposite you and, while close to you, listens to you sweetly speaking, and laughing with love, things which cause the heart in my breast to tremble. For whenever I look at you, I can speak no more. My tongue freezes silent and stiff. Light flames trickles under my skin. I no longer see with my eyes. My ears hear whirring. Cold sweat covers me, shivering, takes me completely captive. I become more green than the grass near to death. To myself I seem. Sappho's poetry can be compared to the love poetry of numerous males who found young women attractive, though not necessarily to the exclusion of homosexual interests. The following work was written by Alcman, a poet of Sparta, in the mid 7th century BC. With limb loosening desire, and more softly than sleep or death she glances, nor is she sweet in vain. Astamalosia does not reply to me. I missed it. But holding a garland, like a star shooting through the blazing firmament, or a golden sprig of soft down. Many modern scholars have vehemently denied that Sappho's sentiments occasioned overt erotic activity. The Greeks certainly realized that Sappho wrote about the sexual activities of women. Few fragments survive from this portion of her work. On one papyrus fragment, the first 5 letters of Alcibos leather phallus may be read with near certainty. I have a lovely child whose form is like gold flowers, my heart's one pleasure, Cleis, for whom I'd not give all Lydia nor fair. This is really interesting, and yeah, you guys should read more, because then you'll learn more. But there's so much misinformation out there, you really have to have the discernment of what's true and false. And the way I do that is, I really feel into my body and listen to it. And if something is bringing a scared feeling, a feeling of fear, it makes me feel anxious, then I put it down. And because that's not the truth. Love is the truth, not fear. Fear is what keeps us stuck in this cycle of slavery. Cheeto man.